How's everyone doing out there? Pat here from Tour Physio Performance, and today, another question for you. Do you feel like when you get out on the golf course and you get yourself in some uneven lies that you have a really hard time making consistent contact and hitting good shots out of there? Well, if you're that golfer, I would check two things that we can look at. First thing that we can look at is, do I have the correct amount of ankle mobility for my body to be able to stay stable in some of those positions? So if we think about if the ball's up above my feet and I'm standing below the ball, my ankles are going to have to be a lot more flexed in this position as I'm standing up to the ball to be able to transfer the force and then hit the golf ball. So if you don't have that range of motion in your ankles, it's going to be really hard for you to stay down in that shot. You're going to have a tendency of standing up out of it, or there's going to be some other compensation that's going to come throughout the swing because the ankles are uncomfortable staying in the position that they're at. So that's the first thing, and the second thing we can do is we can check on balance. We'll talk about the balance a little bit later. Let's focus on those ankles here. So if that's you and you feel like you're having a hard time in those uneven lies, let's come over to the wall and let's do a little check. What we're going to do is we're going to take our fist length, including our club, and we're going to put, including our thumb, we're going to put that right to the end of our foot, and we're going to test some ankle mobility. So it's going to look like this. So I'm going to take my hand, put it right up against the wall, and then from there I'm going to put my toes right up to the end of where that thumb is. From there I'm going to stand back up, and I'm going to see if I can touch my knee to the wall as I do it, making sure that my heel doesn't come up off the ground. If you have tightness in that ankle, that heel is going to want to come off the ground, and you're not going to be able to get all the way to the wall. So if that's you and you can't pass that test, I want to give you a couple of different strategies to work on that ankle mobility so it's a little easier when you get yourself in those situations on the golf course. So first one we can work on would be that, just very similar to what we were doing in the test, but rather than just driving the knee directly to the wall, what we're going to do is we're going to move in 3 planes of motion. So we're going to move the knee directly over the pinky toe, then we're going to rock back out of it. We're going to go directly over the middle of the foot, back out of it, and then we're going to drive it over the big toe. This would all be at the wall, just for video's sake, I'm showing you from this position. So we would be here, and we'd be finding a spot where I can get my knee all the way to the wall while keeping the heel down. That you need to find on your own, find how far away you need to be from the wall, and in time try to back that up a little bit. Once you feel like you can get a little bit further away and you have a little more range of motion, another good option would be to get down into a half kneeling position, and you can do the same thing. So from here I can take my hands and I can help drive my knee a little bit further over that pinky toe, midfoot, big toe. So when you're doing these, go through those 3-4 times and then switch legs. Make sure we're getting both. 3 sets is a good way to work on those. After you've freed up a little bit of that range of motion and we have a little bit more freedom in there, that ankle, now we can grab onto a heavy kettlebell and we can start to own that position a little bit more. So what we're going to do with the heavy kettlebell is I'm going to take this here, I'm going to hold it in my chest, and I'm going to go down into the deepest squat that I can. What that's going to force me to do is that's going to have a lot of flexion in those ankles. The weight has pushed me down into it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to get rid of the weight, make sure that I keep my balance and I don't fall backwards, and then I'm going to stand back tall. I'm going to get a little bit of work on owning that bottom position. So if you have any questions, as always, please leave a comment. We're glad to give you a hand. And check back in if it wasn't the ankles, but you still have a hard time in uneven lies. We're going to talk about balance in the next video.